Monday, November 14th, 2022 Board of Education meeting to order. Please join me for the pledge.
Stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The mission of the East Hampton Public Schools is that we partner with our family and community to prepare confident, compassionate, and collaborative learners who navigate a complex global society. And before we jump into student and staff recognition, I do want to congratulate high school girls volleyball and boys soccer teams for their wins in Shoreline Conference, and they moved into the state semifinals. Didn't want to step on your toes, but I did have to congratulate them, so.
You can repeat it when the time comes.
Absolutely. And now we move to student and staff recognition.
Thank you very much. I'm going to have Mr. Werner come to the microphone. We're recognizing 4 high school students tonight, and we're going to ask all 4 of you to come right up front. Don't be shy. Kind of face the camera. There we go. We're going to start with our 2 students who have been recognized by the New England School Development Council, and then we'll recognize our 2 CAP students. Press the button on the bottom. Yep, thank you.
So our first award winner of the NESDEC Annual Award for Academic Growth is Jewel Miranda. Jewel Miranda is known as industrious, determined, reliable, and a strong role model. From providing words of encouragement to her peers in times of need, to being active in many school activities, including participating in the Interact Club, being an important contributor to Bell Ringer News, working as a library intern, and serving as president of the Unified Sports Club, Jewel has made a tremendous impact on both staff and peers alike during her time at East Hampton High School. Her teachers say she stands out in class as a student who consistently leads by example and does not get deterred by setbacks. In fact, when faced with an obstacle, she only works harder. This hard work can be seen in her academic and personal successes, and she has continued to challenge herself, taking on both an independent study and dual enrollment course in her senior year. Her positive attitude, maturity, work ethic, and strength of character are admirable and qualities that will no doubt contribute to her continued success at East Hampton High School and beyond. Jewel Miranda is an asset to our school community and is more than deserving of this incredible achievement. Congratulations, Jewel. Our next recipient is Brianne Miller. Bree Miller can best be described as a quiet leader. She always seeks to do the right thing, leads by example, and stands out among her peers due to her maturity, reflectiveness, integrity, and determination. She has consistently challenged herself academically and has taken advantage of the opportunity to complete honors and advanced placement courses throughout her time at East Hampton High School. All the while, she has maintained a strong GPA since her freshman year. Not only is she successful academically, but she is also an important member of the high school soccer team, participates in community service, such as volunteering at soccer camps and fundraising, and works with young children at a local daycare. She is passionate about helping others and plans to pursue a career as a physical therapist so she can continue to do so. Brianne has been able to balance many responsibilities as a student, teammate, and employee, and has faced head-on the challenges that can come with each of these roles. There is no doubt that her ability to persevere will benefit her greatly as she continues in her academic endeavors. Congratulations, Bree.
Well, if you would just take a moment and introduce your guests to our board members tonight.
I have my grandma, my grandpa, and my mom.
Give us a wave. Yes, thank you very much for coming tonight. And Bree, if you would do the same.
I have my mom, my dad, and my sister.
Thank you very much for coming. Stay right there for our next group, too.
Our next recipients are the Connecticut Association of Public School Superintendents Annual Award for Outstanding Student Leadership. Shani Karkun. There are few students as dedicated, inquisitive, thoughtful, and genuine as Ashani. Ashani has an intrinsic desire to succeed, whether that be academically, personally, or otherwise. Even with the desire and ability to do well individually, she still cheers on the achievements of others and presents as a humble young woman who is all ready to grow and improve. Ashani has been involved in the school community since her freshman year, and her impressive resume from her time at East Hampton High School includes National Honor Society membership, participation in Interact, DECA, bell ringer athletics, leadership positions in the Spanish Club, the Save Promise Club, the Student Council, and a student representative role for the East Hampton Board of Education. In the midst of all these responsibilities, she still has taken on challenging honors, advanced placement, and dual enrollment courses. In fact, 6 of her 7 senior year classes fit this criteria. Ashani is not only intelligent, but she is also funny, kind, and reflective. Few people are capable of being as well-rounded as Ashani, and it is for this reason and more that she is greatly deserving of this honor and recognition. Congratulations, Ashani. And last but not least, Dan Derleek. Dan is an exemplary student at East Hampton High School. He is extremely hardworking, driven, and academically talented, but also humble and very easy to get along with. Dan is also a member of the National Honor Society Club, the Leo Club, and a varsity member of the cross-country and track teams. Dan has a passion for engineering and continuously seeks out opportunities to challenge himself, whether it's beating his personal best time or doing just a bit better, which is a challenge on the next test. What stands out most about Dan is his calmness, despite some challenging situations. He is truly the guy you want to work with when the teacher presents the next obstacle. He has an uncanny ability to look at a problem, analyze the options, and determine the best possible solution. Congratulations, Dan.
And Ashani, the same, if you would introduce your guests to the board
I
tonight.
have my dad and my mom here today.
Thank you both for coming. Dan,
I have my parents, my siblings, and my girlfriend.
great, you can all wave. Thank you very much. We have a certificate from our board chair, and we'd like to do some pictures, so parents, if you'd like to come up and take a picture. Mr. Werner, if you would be in the picture as well.
Thank you.
And if you haven't got your college applications in, then this is a great opportunity for you to add this award to your very long list.
Why don't we get the parent pictures out of the way first, and then I'll take them.
Oh, everybody.
No. Mr. Werner, do you want to?
Should I get in the middle? You tell me where to go. In the middle or here?
No, you stand right next to Jewel. All right, here we go. 1, 2, 3. And one more. 1, 2, 3. And I was kidding. I'm going to do one with the front. 1, 2, 3. Perfect. Thanks. Don't move.
Yep, wait, all parents can take, don't be rushed.
1, 2, 3.
You are welcome to stay as long as you would like, but the board never takes offense if you would like to quietly exit the room. Thank you all for coming tonight.
Liaisons, 5-1, interboard liaisons. Is anyone here from Board of Finance or Town Council tonight? Labor Union representative Neil Schlansky emailed me, said he had nothing to report, but he is watching the meeting via the live stream. And second, audience of citizens. I just want to let everyone know that we do have a special section on the agenda tonight, 10-2, for public comment specific to the 23-24 budget request. But if anyone would like to comment at this time, please feel free to come up and state your name and address for the record. Okay. Consent agenda, do I have a motion for the board to adopt the consent agenda, which consists of the October 24th meeting minutes?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion is unanimous, thank you. Committee reports, Student Board of Ed Representatives.
Good evening, everybody. So for our school updates, last Thursday, we had my favorite assembly we do every year. That's the Veterans Day Assembly. And I want to say thank you to Delaney because she's on the Veterans Day committee, so they did a really good job. But last Thursday, the high school hosted an assembly honoring our veterans who have served our country. Brigadier General Andre McMillan delivered an powerful speech on the true meaning of Veterans Day. And it was really a great honor to have Mr. McMillan speak at our assembly. Next Monday, Deca Club will be hosting a bingo night at East Hampton High School, so if anyone's interested, you guys should come out and support. Early November, the Spanish Club hosted an annual Taco Tuesday fundraiser, fundraising over $300. And this past weekend, Deca Club hosted the walkathon at East Hampton High School, Deca raised over $400.
Thank you.
We have some exciting sports news. Boys varsity soccer won the first Shoreline Conference championship in school history. We had 6 players recognized to the all-conference teams. Tomorrow they play in the Class S semifinals against Notre Dame Fairfield at 5 o'clock in Pomperaug. If they win, they will advance to the Class S state championships on Saturday. Girls varsity volleyball also won the Shoreline Conference championship. They had 4 players recognized to all-conference. They play tomorrow in the semifinals in New London against Griswold. If they win, they will also advance to the Class S state championships on Saturday. Both the girls volleyball head coach and boys soccer head coach were recognized as Shoreline Conference Coach of the Year. Girls soccer made it to quarterfinals in the Shoreline Conference tournament, and we had 3 players recognized to all conference teams. They advanced to the second round of states after defeating Northwestern in penalty kicks. They finished the season 8-7-2. Varsity football will play in their final game of the year on Wednesday, November 23rd at North Branford. And the Fall Sports Award Banquet will be held on Tuesday, November 29th, and will include dinner and awards.
Thank you. Town Council has approved the administrator's contract. Policy and curriculum.
This evening, and as you see on the agenda, we have quite a number of hearings coming up.
Thank you. Finance, Transportation, Building and Grounds, Augie?
Yes, we have an upcoming bus bid that Mr. Smith will provide more details tonight. And then we also have next week a tri-board meeting, which we believe will be what's going to be focused on the budget.
Thank you. And I'll move to the superintendent's report.
Thank you. I think your biggest predicament is going to be, do you drive east tomorrow night to New London to see the girls volleyball team, or do you drive west to Pomperaug to see the boys soccer team? I think both start at 5 o'clock, is that?
Soccer's at 5, volleyball's at 6.
Okay, so you could theoretically miss both by trying to catch both. No, best of luck to both teams. It'd be very exciting for me to call you on Wednesday morning and have you reserve a portion of Saturday to catch soccer and volleyball, or one or the other. In your packets is the November enrollment. There's not much change from October, which is the official state enrollment. The bus bid. So I forwarded you today that very thick packet that Karen Aceta put together and got out. We believe we will have, Karen, 4 bus companies bidding on.
We think so. 5 came to the conference, and there's a couple others that are following.
So it should be a competitive bid process. Anybody that would like to attend, obviously, it's the Transportation Committee that will make a recommendation to you, but everybody's welcome to the open bids. And I think, like I said in an email to you, we expect any bus company that bids on it, they will be there for the bid opening. It is sealed bids. You're not required to go with the lowest bid. You're required to go with the bid that meets all the expectations of the pack.
What is the date on that?
Friday, December 9th at 10 a.m. I got a nod. That is correct. And then I just mentioned the tri-board meeting. That will be in this room next Monday at 6:30. It is open to the public. There'll be a discussion on our current budget, 21-22, and also some conversations about 22-23. I'm sorry, 22-23, and I'm a year behind. There'll be discussions on this year's budget, 22-23, and next year's budget, 23-24.
Any questions? Thank you.
So our next portion of the meeting, what we're going to do is we're going to have the schools and any audience member highlight budget requests of interest. We've got about 90 pages in the printed materials. I think we have enough for everybody in the audience to have one, so please make sure that if you didn't get one, you come up front. The principals and will model what we hope the audience will do. They'll identify page numbers for you so we can all turn to it. Anybody who's watching this at home, this document was emailed to you so you can reference the pages that are brought up. And we'll start with Memorial School. Andrea Montavani, our assistant principal, is going to be doing the speaking tonight. Joey had a death in the family, so she could not be here tonight.
Hello. To begin, I'd like you to turn your attention to pages 21 and 22 inside your booklets. These two requests both speak to the need for enhanced and updated classroom libraries in grade 1. As a primary building, we continue to evaluate and align our practices to the most current research surrounding the science of reading. Decodable readers follow a clearly defined scope and sequence that supports the systematic acquisition of early phonics skills. This carefully crafted text sets all learners up for success by providing all learners with the opportunity to understand how our language works and by reducing the need for a higher level of intervention moving forward. Next, I'd like to highlight page 77, so if you could all turn to page 77. I'll give you a moment.
And before you continue, I'm just going to have the board hold questions tonight. So tonight we're receiving information. This is the first step. Write down any questions you have, and the next meeting will be more of a workshop type meeting where you can ask open Q&A. Sorry, Ann.
No problem. This relates to the need for instructional aides in our kindergarten classroom. Currently, Memorial School has one instructional aide who is shared across all 7 of our kindergarten classrooms. We are advocating for additional support for our youngest learners. Due to entrance age guidelines that are unique to Connecticut, kindergarten students begin school ranging in the age from 4 to 6 years old. In addition to their age differences, kindergarten students also begin with varying backgrounds and exposure to school readiness experiences. Much time and attention in kindergarten is devoted to promoting self-help skills, developing independence, fostering relationships, and social, emotional, behavioral regulation, and growing academic skills. Our kindergarten teachers are outstanding, but doing all this with 20 students between the ages of 4 to 6 limits the individualized attention that our teachers are able to provide. Additional aids would allow for higher level differentiation and individualized support, and would reduce the number of students who may require future intervention. Lastly, I ask that you turn to page 37, where you'll find a request for flexible seating. Our student chairs are well loved, and over time they begin to suffer from the wear and tear of everyday use. Once they become unsafe, they must be retired. We also know that not every seating option provides the optimal learning experience for every learner. Our students do not subscribe to a one-size-fits-all model, and neither should our seating. Many of our young learners require a higher level of sensory input than others in order to sustain attention and stamina. And some of our wiggly students require seating that can move with them. Therefore, we are requesting a supply of flexible seating options to best meet the needs of our primary population. That's it for Memorial.
Thank you, Edna.
Thank you.
Good evening. If you could please turn to page 16. This annual request will support a cycle of adding 25 new books to every teacher's classroom library annually. Books are the tools of the trade in literacy, and all students deserve access to great books. Refreshed libraries with engaging, high-interest selections will support better connections with text, building self-esteem, and allowing students to view themselves as a reader. It can broaden students' understanding and help them discover different experiences from their own. This cycle of replacement, in addition of one book per student, will provide a consistent means of building and maintaining a well-stocked classroom library in every classroom for every student. Next, page 28. So we pride ourselves in supporting the social and emotional skill development of our students and must not forget, adults must work daily to build trust and a positive culture. As we all have experienced, when elevated, stress can take the wheel in decision-making and impact how we interact with peers and our students. Educators play a meaningful role in children's social development, and teacher well-being is a powerful predictor of classroom quality. Simply put, if we take care of adults, they will take care of our students. This program for staff is composed of learning modules that can be embedded into faculty meetings, professional workshops, and independent professional learning. And last, page 44. Our students in the STEM lab continue to exhibit complex problem-solving skills and are looking for more. The program has been built and supported by grant sources, the East Hampton Rotary, and our PTO. The next step in building this experience is to budget for additional components to enrich the selection and offering to students. The SAM Labs Maker Solution provides students with resources and lesson activities that help develop an engineering mindset by tackling challenges through the world of coding and STEM. This Makerspace course is designed for shorter activity-driven instruction and activity-based learning and prototyping. As we continue to implement more complex tools and challenge in our STEM lab classes, students exceed our expectations, and we must continue to push the envelope of student success. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. If you can please first turn to page 70. The first request I'd like to highlight is the addition of a .6 physical education teacher for East Hampton Middle School. Our middle school adolescents are a very critical time in their personal development. Executive function and brain health underlie academic performance. Basic cognitive functions related to attention and memory facilitate learning, and these functions are enhanced by physical activity. Being physically active has a direct correlation to positive effects on mental health. Students transitioning from elementary school to secondary school lose 25 minutes of exercise per day due to the loss of recess. Students go from 215 minutes of physical activity per week in grade 5 to 90 minutes of activity per week in grade 6. This is a loss of over 2 hours of physical activity per week. In order to help bridge the transition gap in their weekly physical activity when transitioning to middle school, 6th grade students this year participate in 3 PE classes per week. This request for an additional .6 staff member would aid in maintaining 135 minutes of physical activity per week for our 6th grade students and continue to reduce the number of study halls students have within their schedule. The second request I'd like to highlight is the new equipment requested by our PE department, which you'll find on page 34. Coupled with the staff request is the PE department's request for replacement equipment to meet the needs of the current physical education curriculum, coupled with adding enhancements to the units of study, like agility ladders and pickleball paddles. The requests would allow the PE department to purchase more up-to-date equipment for fitness units, increase engaging physical activity for students, and promote lifelong physical activity in our learners. Lastly, if you can turn to page 35. I'd like to highlight the new equipment requests for lighting and sound systems within our commons. This request is to begin the replacement of the electrical, light, and sound system within our commons area. Over the last several years, our students have partnered with the East Hampton High School's drama presentation due to a lack of safe, up-to-date sound and lighting equipment. In order to participate in the drama production, our students were bused to the high school each afternoon. At times, participation in the high school program required middle school students to leave early, missing instructional time. We would like to be able to hold performances right in our own facility and give our middle school students a sense of ownership and belonging in our building. This would give more students the ability to showcase their talents on our own stage. The upgraded system would also allow us to hold assemblies and various presentations that would support the building far past just the music department. In addition, updating the electrical panel is a safety concern that needs to be addressed in order to maintain performances at East Hampton Middle School. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening again. East Hampton High School's first request, I'd ask you to turn to page 46 and 51 at the same time. They are the establishment of a Spanish and French National Honor Society. The goal of this program is to recognize student language achievement, to promote service, leadership, and character in the school community and beyond, and to further encourage student involvement in our school. One of the most important priorities we have, as I tell all students, is when you graduate, everyone should have a plan for what's next. And we feel it's really important that we have, almost 95% of our students take 4 years of a world language, to have an honor society which will allow them to continue their learning, but also help them build their resumes as they plan for the next steps in their educational career. My next request is on page 55, which again falls into that same plan of continuing students to build their portfolio for what's next when they graduate, which is the establishment of a stipend for our DECA club. Currently, that is a club that is being run without a stipend. You heard Ashani talk a few moments ago about some of the great activities that they are doing. DECA prepares emerging leaders and entrepreneurs in marketing, finance, hospitality, and management in high schools and colleges around the globe. Many of our students major in business when they go off to college. This is another opportunity for them to build their resume as they plan for business. And many of our students simply want to go into business for themselves. So again, this opportunity would afford them those chances to do that. The program also allows opportunities for students to attend leadership conferences, network with entrepreneurs, and participate in state competitions that are both regional and at the national level. And it really is a great opportunity, again, for our students. And my final request is on page 31. As we continue to grow our programming at the high school, and I know that the board has generously afforded opportunities for our middle school technology education department. We'd like to continue to grow that forward. Ms. Richards in our technology education department are requesting a makerspace, a rolling storage cart, a workstation, and some bar rolls to continue to build the robotics electronics program, as well as our engineering and architecture program. Again, many of our students, these are the fields that they're going into. And we want to better prepare them for those fields when they leave East Hampton High School.
Thank you so much.
So I'll turn your attention to page 64. I'm going to highlight just one request this evening for an additional ABA special education teacher at the high school. About 6 years ago, we realized that many of our students required highly specialized instruction were needing to be placed at private special education facilities. Over the past 6 years, we've enhanced our programming at Memorial School, and then as students aged up to center school and then the middle school, we put in programming at those schools so students were able to continue to receive that highly specialized programming in their home school at a significant savings to the district. So now we're at a point where those students are now aging up to the high school. So I'm requesting this additional teacher so those students can remain in with East Hampton schools rather than look at private special education facility options. Thank you.
Thank you.
Evening. Tonight there are many requests I could discuss with you. I know it's hard for everyone to pick. Some of the materials that are reflected in the booklet are consumable materials that need to be replaced or annual subscriptions. But tonight, I'm really going to focus on 3 new areas of need based in most cases on external factors. So first, I invite you to turn to page 29. Addressed with the board in the past, as you know from last June, there was legislation passed in June of 2021 that relates to reading curriculum and programming in grades K through 3. Sections 394 to 404 of Public Act 21-2 requires the state oversee all state and local efforts related to reading, specifically to reading curriculum requirements for school districts. As of September 29th of this year, the newly established Center for Literacy Research and Reading Success has identified 5 approved reading programs that must be adopted by districts. We have to select one of those 5. There's a possibility that there include more, but that's where we are at this point. The expectation is that districts will implement those programs this July, so that we would adopt by July 1, 2023. The cost of this transition has the potential to be significant, and the established timeline is aggressive. So the state has offered districts the opportunity to request a 1-year extension on the timeline due to, I'm quoting, insufficient resources or funding, and we intend to request that extension. But we have requested for next school year pilot materials so that we can use that year both to secure appropriate funding, but base that on our knowledge of those programs, to ensure that we can vet the approved programs with our teachers in our classrooms. A change of this significance would require the input of our teachers to ensure that the transition required by the legislation is a successful one for the students and families of East Hampton. Second, you can turn to page 27. As you know, last school year we went through a large pilot program for our K-5 math programming. As you know, we adopted the Bridges program. Our previous program in Go Math was being discontinued by the publisher and our contract for that program was ending. That issue is now shifting to the middle school. Again, that program is sunsetting and our commitment to that product is ending. So we have to go through a renewal experience at the middle school as well. This year, we've been able to secure a very low-cost pilot of the Illustrative Mathematics program, which is yielding strong results around the state, and is referenced in the model curricula for grades 6 through 8 mathematics produced by the State Department of Education. While our pilot will just be starting next month in grades 6 through 8, we are requesting funding for middle school math programming in next year's budget. And lastly, I would invite you to turn to page 25. Again, in response to actions at the state level, the State Board of Education adopted a Healthy and Balanced Living Curriculum Framework in 2021. These updated health and physical education standards provide guidance to districts on priorities for health and PE instruction while still providing local decision-making in specific curriculum and content. While our health and PE team has worked at the secondary level to develop our health curriculum locally, we are advocating for funds to purchase a vetted resource that can be shared transparently with our community, while ensuring that East Hampton is meeting our statutory obligations and providing students with the best possible resources for healthy decision-making in their lives. While this is a need broadly in the district, for next year, the middle school would be our priority in terms of which schools would initiate this curriculum. Thank you.
I'm Jen Bode, Nutrition Services Director, and I would like to direct you to page 61. I'm going to be talking about a requested stipend for a garden coordinator for Memorial School Garden. So as I've said many times, I've been very blessed this year with a dream team of 3 amazing teachers who have been my garden curriculum coordinators. Those have been grant funded. And they have brought the garden participation to a level that I never expected that we could get to. It includes 2 clubs that we've been running, in-school hands-on learning activities, and we've also been doing recess activities in the garden as well. So my schedule will continue to get even busier now that we're going back to a paid lunch program. And provide someone to continue running the clubs, continue extracurricular activities, also coordinate activities with teachers and students. I found it incredibly helpful to have 3 teachers who can be the go-between between my 5+ ideas that don't always go so well, that don't always, jive with what the teachers see, and somebody who can speak in their language. And having somebody to support the teachers and the gardening activities and the kids, and have the creativity to continue with fundraisers, clubs, and with the garden, things are very last minute. Things need to be picked at the last minute. So having somebody there to help me coordinate the taste tests and at the last minute. Thank you.
Teachers here. Chris, would you like to take the podium?
Hi, good evening. Chris Briggs, middle school technology education teacher. I stand before you here yet again this year, as I did last, for a couple of reasons. First of all, I want to thank you so much for supporting the middle school tech ed program in last year's budget and working with Mr. Smith and Ms. Clark in order to help get the new equipment going for our students. As I mentioned previous, I was brought in to teach this course and help make it much more of a hands-on type program, and we are well on our way to doing that. Students walked into practically a brand new classroom this year, and the excitement on their faces and so far this year has really just been palpable. So thank you very much for supporting that. Now that we have done all that, however, we need to increase the budget for the tech ed program on a more annual basis in order to keep those new things that we have running in a sufficient manner with all of the materials that the students need to be successful. So if you turn to page 7 in your budget books, you'll see some of the things that I've requested as far as consumables go. These are things that with the new equipment and the new curriculum, students are using up and going through on a regular basis. Also, we have some things, I built in a line item to help us sort of upkeep and maintain the new equipment that we have, because as with, I'm sure you all know, new technology and tools, they need to be maintained in order to provide a safe environment for our students. So we are asking to increase the middle school budget for those reasons there. And also on page 39, we did get the chief architect software for our students so that they can start learning on a professional architecture program. So when they get up to the high school, as Mr. Berner talked about earlier, they already have some basic understanding and knowledge so that in the programs up there, they can take it even further. So we did get that program, but it does require a yearly license renewal for that, for all of the seats. So that is built into this budget as well for this year. So again, thank you very much for continuing to support the program, and I'm looking forward to making it even stronger. So thank you.
Thank you.
Andrea, I'm not sure if you're here for moral support, okay? Any audience members want to speak? I know we haven't given you a great chance to look at this. It just went out last week, and you're just holding a hard copy. Did anybody want to mention anything in particular? Yes, please.
Good evening, Matt Engelhardt, Bevan Boulevard. I completely support everything you said about tech ed. I completely support everything in this budget, frankly. But there's a couple pages that really stuck out to me. Pages 69, 71, and 72, all having to do with library media. I can't emphasize enough just all components of this position, from integrating technology to generating the love of reading. All those are just critical to molding success at all levels. I don't have to tell you just how important it is that giving students a good start by giving them materials that they love to read from an early age, just how important that is. And the fact that we have these positions that aren't staffed or that are staffed on a very limited basis, that puts us at a disadvantage as a district. And in my work, I work in higher ed at UConn, and I see just how much technology is integrated into everything that students do. From humanities like English and journalism to obviously engineering and the sciences. It's so important that they learn how to integrate technology in all their classes. And the sooner we give them a head start on that, the better they're going to do. We can give our students such a better footing. And if we can provide them with an additional position, with an additional support person through library media specialist, especially in the middle school, where they're learning so much, and that is such a critical position, and if we can find it in the budget to support that, I don't see how we can go wrong. I know that this is going to be an uphill battle, this whole budget, and I would just encourage the board to stay strong. If you show a strong face, I'm sure that the parents of this community will appreciate it and will have your backs. So keep that in mind. I know that this is a battle to be fought, but we need this stuff for our kids, and we appreciate everything that you can do to fight for them. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Engelhardt.
This will be fun. Okay, so my name is Melissa Balda. I'm a teacher at the high school. And I did put a request in for a stipend for the mountain biking club. I am one of the advisors for the ski club, which meets obviously in the wintertime, and I've been preparing for that. But I would like to also see something in the spring for the kids to do to just to continue with their physical activities outside. And I did it last year for fun, just to see the interest in it, and I had about a dozen kids that were very interested in it and who wanted to take a leadership role. They had come in, spoke to Mrs. Russell about starting the bike club up at the high school, and they asked me if I would head it and take charge of it. And I said, well, absolutely, because that's what they asked for. So it would be very nice to be able to see that come to full circle and get that started for them. So, and I do appreciate your support and everybody else here. Thank you.
What page?
That was on page 58.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So for our audience members watching live or at home on November 28th, if you'd like to come and have a little more time to speak about any particular items. Board members, I'm hoping after your Thanksgiving dinner, you'll pull this book out when everybody's napping at your house. You can pull this book out and just go through at your November 28th meeting. The principals, Mary, Rod, and I will be glad to answer any questions you have about either ones we mentioned or ones we did not mention. You know, I don't want people to consider this an exercise in futility either. It's very hard to go through this book and say, we really don't need that. All of these are important items, and I think by conjuring them into people's minds over time, you know, people do see the importance. We went for years at the middle school without a mountain biking stipend, and we have now have one. So I think it's important for us to always let the board know and the community know what we could use at the school. If past history proves accurate moving forward, we all know that, you know, just a slim portion of these are going to end up in the budget. But I think it's important for us and the community to realize that a lot of schools already have all of this in there and don't have to fight to just pick 3 or 4 items out of a book of 90 pages to add to a budget. So please bring your questions for November 28th, principals, and like I said, everyone will be prepared to answer any questions you have on any item that's in there.
Thank you to everyone who came to speak about the items in the book. Is there anyone else for public comment specific to the budget? That we move to unfinished business. Approval of the 23-24 school calendar. Would anyone like to make a motion?
To approve the 23-24 school calendar.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on the school calendar? All in favor? Aye. Motion is unanimous. Thank you. 11.2, second read of Board of Ed Policy 5142.41 for the Armed Security Officer.
I would like to make a motion to accept the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools and the Board of Education Policy and Curriculum Committee to approve Policy 5142.41, Armed Security Officer.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Josh?
Who does the evaluation?
The evaluation? Oh.
It's
Principal of each building will do the evaluation.
Different for each officer?
Well, wherever they're placed, that particular principal would do the evaluation.
So they come under whose command?
They, according to the policy, they're under the direction ultimately of the superintendent, but they answer to the principals of the school.
So each school has their own officer, and they report to the principal?
Correct.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion is unanimous. Thank you. 11.2, second reading of Board of Ed Policy 4113.12, minimum duty-free lunch periods for teachers.
I would like to make a motion to accept the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools and the Board of Education Policy and Curriculum Committee to approve Policy 4113.12, minimum duty-free lunch periods for teachers.
Second, any discussion on Policy 4113.12?
What does duty-free mean?
It's a, do you want to explain it better?
Sure. This actually came about by legislation. In our teacher's contract, it speaks to a duty-free lunch of between 25 and 30 minutes. Legislation came out and it said teachers must have a duty-free lunch for 30 minutes. So our contracts now don't require any change, but legislation obviously is going to trump that. So by a duty-free lunch, teachers aren't on duty, they can have lunch in a faculty lunchroom or in their classroom. They would not be required to stand in the cafeteria and supervise children while they're eating lunch.
Any other discussion? Yes.
What's your vote on committee in the state legislature?
What was the question?
Vote in committee, state legislature.
This was part of the implementer budget bill. So this kind of went through very last minute as they were passing the budget. Oh, I don't know, but it passed.
There's discussion between them, right?
A lot of times with those little implementer pieces, they get snuck in, and in order to pass the budget, somebody says, well, I'll vote for the budget as long as we get this in. There were at least 6 or 7 little implementer pieces that went in at the last minute.
Benefit of people who might have heard about this in the news, some other school districts were complaining about this law because it would change their amount of time during the day that wasn't available to the teachers for this. And so I just want to verify from you, Superintendent, that we don't have to extend the school day, or it's not affecting any of our classrooms in a negative manner by extending this?
No, I can't say that it's not extending in a negative manner. We've had to extend lunch period at the high school, and so it did require an adjustment of the entire high school schedule to accommodate this. Middle school as well, yes.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Is this a new state mandate?
Yes, it's legislation. It's part of the legislation.
So why are we voting on it then?
Because we have to adapt that legislation within our policies. So our policy needed to be updated as a reflection of the legislation.
And Josh, I'm just recommending, a lot of times you don't have to have a policy if it's legislation, but because it impacts the teachers' agreement, the bargaining agreement, I felt we should have a policy. If it ever changed, we would be able to go back to our original agreement in the teacher's contract, which is between 25 and 30 minutes.
Teachers, does it specify just middle school? Or
All teachers.
all teachers?
Yes.
Not just little kids?
No, all teachers. And you can imagine giving a high school cafeteria, 30 minutes is too long for lunch. Students have downtime in study halls and other things, but 30 minutes is a long lunch period at the high school, especially, we want to maximize instructional time. And it does, I don't know, Mr. Werner, it impacts the day in a way that's not favorable. Because what you've done with 3 lunches, you've basically added 15 minutes of lunchtime to the schedule.
Well, so you have to go back to your locker, you have to go to your class, you have to go to your lunchroom.
Yeah, this isn't designed for students. This was designed for teachers. So this was specifically for teachers to have 30 minutes. And to our teacher audience, I'm certainly not saying that they don't deserve 30 minutes of lunch, but it impacts the schedule quite a bit.
Adds 15 more minutes?
Well, we can't add it at the end of the day, and we can't add it at the beginning of the day, so you're impacting what goes on between the start time and the end time. The legislation didn't say teachers get 30 minutes lunch, so schools can require their teachers to stay 10, 15 minutes longer. The day still begins and ends at the same time.
Thank you, Paul. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Motion is unanimous, thank you. 11.3, second reading of 6146.11, which is class rank.
I would like to make a motion to accept the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools and the Board of Education Policy and Curriculum Committee to approve Policy 6146.11, class rank.
A second.
Motion and a second, any discussion on class rank?
I would like to point out that this is strictly based on new legislation.
Thank you. All in favor? Motion is unanimous, thank you. 11.4, second read of policy 5113, student attendance.
I would like to make a motion to accept the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools and the Board of Education Policy and Curriculum Committee to approve Policy 5113, student attendance.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Motion is unanimous, thank you. 11.5, second read of 5141.4, reporting of child abuse, neglect, and sexual assault.
I would like to make a motion to accept the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools and the Board of Education Policy and Curriculum Committee to approve Policy 5141.4, reporting of child abuse, neglect, and sexual assault.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion is unanimous. Thank you. 11.6, second reading of policy 5144.4, discipline.
I would like to make a motion to accept the recommendation of the superintendent of schools and the Board of Education Policy and Curriculum Committee to approve policy 5144.4, discipline.
Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. The Policy and Curriculum Committee, you guys have been very busy. Okay, new business. We're back. We're back. We're not done yet with policy.
Okay, so this is actually a first read, so. This is policy 6140 curriculum, and the changes are based, of course, on legislation, as the others were as well. The state is prescribing a list of courses that are required, so the changes reflect that. There are references now to the district curriculum committee and its responsibilities. The board's responsibility is also referenced for the district's curriculum. And there are now references that give consideration to the model curriculum developed by the Connecticut State Department of Ed that Mary has talked about previously.
Questions for Nancy about policy 6140 curriculum? Nancy? Any suggestions from the board for future business? Personnel actions, there are none. Audience of citizens, if anyone would like to speak, we would love to hear from you. Calendar of events. Paul, you want to mention anything?
There's a concert coming up on Thursday night, so after you've been outside at the boys' cold soccer game tomorrow night, Thursday night come into the high school warm auditorium and catch the high school performances. Just keep your eye on the update. There's some nice activities going on. Especially if you want to wear your pajamas to work on December 9th. PJ for the Kids Day. It's fun walking around the schools and seeing all the kids in their pajamas.
Thank you. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
And the teachers. So
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Thank you very much, everyone.
Never wrong.